All right. Can people see me or hear me? Do I exist? Cognito ergo sum. Isn't that the thing? Maggie broke it. I hope people can find this stream. New link. Posted it in the chat room. It went into the Discord I saw. I'm now posting it on the forums. If anybody is interested in joining me, hit me up with a message somewhere and I'll send you a link. All right, chat room did that. Sound and video okay. Good. All right. What was I talking about? I think I had just started to talk about Brian's question about Q Flash. So Armis, Brian Sykes in the chat room wanted to know if there are any plans to make Q Flash relevant in the modern game. So the short answer is not at this time. I'm intrigued by the idea. I will probably do something like an exploratory design project. What an exploratory design project is I put a couple people into a room, a digital room, and I say, here's a concept, play with it. They play with it, they do a bunch of stuff, and they come back and they deliver. The deliverable is not an expansion, but the deliverable is a report on here are the ways that we can do this, here are the ways that we can't do this, and our recommendation is we should do this. One of the projects we have right now is doing Borg Unimatrix Zero, so like Borg and non-Borg working together. Another one is ground combat, like can you do something for ground combat like Tactics did for ship combat? Another one that's running right now is looking at NORs. Can we simplify the NOR rules? Can we simplify NOR cards? Do we make new, anyway. So I would probably create a exploratory project for Q stuff. So story about why I'm a little reluctant to do it is way back in like 2010 or 2011 when we were first planning out what would become Block. One of the earliest plans for TNG Block was to do set one was be Klingons, Feds, Ferengi, TNG stuff, and set two was going to be Nemesis Romulans, and set three was going to be all about Q. And we were going to rebuild the Q mechanics and recreate all the Q stuff. And then we did a poll of players, and Q rated like near the bottom in terms of like interest level and desire to see it back in the game. So we canned that idea. Now, granted, that was 7 or 8 years ago, so maybe the environment has changed. I mean, one of the things that really killed Q was OTF's limit of two Q flashes seeded. There are ways around that. Maybe we make some new cards. Maybe. Long story short, I am tentatively interested, but I would want to find out what the appetite for the community is before I committed any significant resources to doing Q stuff. But I am interested in putting together maybe an exploratory team to play with Q stuff and see what can happen. Like, particularly, what would happen if we exempted Q from the rules too? You know, what would happen in OTF if you could seed 6 Q flashes? Would that break anything? So that's my answer. Re-Q cards. Do I have... I've got no one in the chat on YouTube on this one. That's sad. Quality time can get you more flashes. That is true. Also true with Beware of Q. I think though that the thing that always was popular that I remember was just, I'm going to see the Q flash under all of your missions and just make you deal with a bunch of random Q cards. I think the other problem with that would need addressing would be that's a time sink. when we're only getting 7 turns, uh, do I really want 5 minutes of each of my mission attempts to be walking through some weird ass Q shit? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Q is it's always hard to represent an omnipotent entity in a card game. I will say, and I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but we've been sort of circling around the idea of re-eroding the Q dilemma, just to um, not unfuck it, but maybe a lot's changed since Q was eroded the first time, and maybe restore it to some of its former glory. No promises, but I think with a signature card like that, there's some willingness to maybe try and get it right. I was stress writing my column earlier today. I went back to work. I don't know if anybody knows that, but I got a part-time job. I had originally been laid off back in January. So that was one of the reasons I was around as much as I was around. I've always been around a lot, but a couple weeks ago I went back to work part-time, and usually it was Monday I was writing my column, but now I'm working Mondays. So now it's work Monday and come home and get a little bit done, and then like stress finish it on Tuesday, and then I had extra stress finishing today because I knew I was doing this, and I was hopeful that people would show up and I would be busy and not able to sit and write it, but it's done, so that's good. You guys want a cage spoiler? Might be able to make that happen, and by might be able to make that happen, I mean definitely, because I picked it. My audio is cutting in and out. I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to fix that. If you missed something that I said, please let me know and I'll repeat it. Tim Rice, you were in the chat earlier, and I think you had a question, and I saw it, but I don't think I answered it. If you wouldn't mind reposting it, I will try to answer it for you. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get the spoiler up. Let's see. I'm going to share. Nope. There it is. Nope, there it is. Damn. Can I shrink this? That's too much. Ah, stupid paint. For some reason it's not working. Wow, those are really terrible zoom settings. All right. Samuel T. Cogley should be on your screens. I'll scroll down to the fun part that I wanted you to see the top. Federation personnel, Samuel T. Cogley, Star Trek property logo. He has the AU icon on the left side. He is civilian classification, and he has the OS icon on the right side. Also, the cage expansion icon, which you haven't seen, is the Keeper's head from the original series. His lore is attorney at law living on planet M11, human who never uses computers, prefers his library of books from the Magna Carta to the statutes of Alpha 3. And the picture is him sort of hunched over a book with a pen, looking up at you. His skills: law ×2, First skill, obviously, honor, anthropology, and biology. His special skill is once per game may nullify computer crash. He doesn't use computers, so why does he care? He has integrity of 8, cunning of 7, and strength of 3. And his collector number is 5050B. The cage is 63 cards to give you a sense of where he falls in the spectrum. Anyway, that is Samuel T. Cogley. He should be still on your screen. The dulcet tones of my voice in your ear. Check the Discord. Discord is very quiet tonight. Granted, I don't know. I've only been on it a couple days. I don't actually know the patterns of the Discord. I don't know if it's usually quiet on a Tuesday night. I don't know if Tuesday night is a good night to do this. That is the type of thing I'm hoping you guys will help answer for me. Some of you may remember that we introduced the native mechanic where an OS personnel that names a planet. He does name planet M11, but just to tell you right now, planet M11 is not in the cage. Something that may come down the road. So. Tim Rice, your question is, I had a question about fan cards. Do you pay attention to them? Do they influence the upcoming sets? I can't speak for anybody but myself. I don't know how much other designers look at dream cards or fan cards on Facebook groups and stuff. Excuse me. I used to have a pretty strong policy of never looking at dream cards because, especially in our early years, we were very afraid of somebody, accusing the design teams of, oh, you stole my idea. As this community has aged, I think we've stopped caring about that. So good ideas come from wherever they come. I still don't visit the Dream Card forums and groups terribly often, mostly just because I'm busy. Back before the continuing committee started, I was an avid Dream Carder. I made a whole Dream Card expansions, and it was one of the things that got me noticed by Decipher, I think. I don't know for sure. But I can tell you that we're probably going to be looking to staff up our design staff, and probably one of the first places I'm going to look is Dream Card forums. So I think my answer to your question is that we don't go out of our way to pay attention to them, but I think that's a good place to look for new talent. So I would encourage everybody out there that's posting dream cards to keep posting them and work with each other to make your cards better. And you might just end up on a design team. I mean, I went and looked at the roster of Make It So recently because Make It So was a reality show design competition we did 3 times. We did it twice for 2E and then once for 1E. And the last time we did it was 2013. Looking back at the list, so James Montbroten won. He was the lead designer on the cage, which is coming out in a couple weeks. Adam Haggerty was second. He was on a design team and then kind of dropped off the face of the earth. We don't know. But Patty Ty was third. He's a regular designer now. Stephen G. Zefno was fourth. He's on a design team. Michael Moskop, comic book hero, has designed. Daniel Madison, OK Coyote, has been on design. Sean O'Reilly, Jono does 2E design now. Matt Hayes, Karen of Borg, was going to work on the cage, but then had real life and it didn't work out. So he's he might be back in the future. James Heaney was in Make It So, and he's on the cage as well. And then Philip and David were they dropped out halfway through and they're the only ones that at least haven't. Those two and Sean O'Reilly are the only ones that have not participated in some capacity in 1A design. So if we see a Make It So, come sign up. Brian's asking about Q flashes. Why are Q flashes not being played on any scale in the Tier 1 environment? What can be done to change that? Is anyone even looking at it? Those are great questions, Brian. I can tell you that we're not looking at it because the most recent data that we had indicated that nobody cared. I am more than happy to reopen that discussion. As I said, I'm interested in answering your questions, but till now it has not been a priority. Jason, Pants of the Tal Shiar, says he has nefarious ideas. Well, I like nefarious ideas. I like nefarious ideas that don't result in 5-page forum threads about how broken John Carter's deck is, and make sure your opponent gets to play the game. So, no shade at John. Okay, goodness. Am I still showing Sam Cogley? Anybody want to see Samuel Cogley? There's been a couple spoilers on Facebook. I don't know if you all follow our Facebook, but Austin Chandler, our social media guru, asked for more spoilers, and I think he has something like 14. Let me see what I can find. Yeah, here's the cloud creature. Can I bring that up? Stop. Start. There's the Draconium cloud creature that was spoiled about a month ago in the James Heaney's article about self-controlled cards. We didn't have the image, but now we have the image. I think this is 4V for those of you counting at home. Gaseous predator which feeds on red blood cells. Killed 200 crewmen from the starship Farragut in 2257. Self-controlling dilemmas are fun. Oh, now it's showing chat room. Why did that change? That shouldn't have changed. It didn't change you. Oh, because it's showing my Firefox tab, and I changed tabs. That's why. End of every turn kills 4 of each player's personnel here. Their choice, human if possible, then moves. Worth points if destroyed in battle. 10 points if you blow her up. Range 6, no weapons, shield 12. So you need 2 TOS ships to come over and blow up the cloud. And I think this is the first planet self-controlling dilemma that there's ever been. I think. Tim Rice, I'm not a dream card maker, but I do enjoy browsing through them. There's some interesting mechanics in there from time to time. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen some really innovative ideas. I think the dream card community, in particular on the forums, is very supportive of each other, and they tend to give each other good feedback. I used to do dream card competitions, and I got frustrated because I would always try to make a card that could be printed, and some of the dream card designers, at least back in the day, would just make like the craziest, flashiest thing, and those would tend to be the more popular ones. And that's fine. crazy powerful is good and popular. But maybe I'll go on to maybe after this call is over, I will jump on the Dream Card forums and see what I can see. Maybe I'll recruit some designers off there. Who knows? You never know who might be watching. There were more spoilers in this Facebook group, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, this guy. Tim, I saw you mention, I assume there's going to be a Doomsday Machine. Well, here's a picture of it. And I would say that if, as a design team, we would have utterly failed to not deliver a Planet Killer in a set that is original series based and focused on self-controlling cards. So there's a safe bet that the giant space bugle will appear. I think she's on at least 3 cards. So this is our Monster Hunter tactic. It must be destroyed. Attack 1, defense 2. If battling a self-controlling card, attack bonus +4, and your ships and crews are not but may not initiate battle again this turn. So if you're planning on hunting monsters, this is a +5 attack card, and it doesn't stop your ship. So you can shoot the monster and then go attempt a mission. It does prevent you from shooting a bunch of monsters in succession or shooting monsters and then go shooting your opponent, but it's going to be a niche. This is an interesting experiment because it's sort of a niche tactic, and I'm curious to see how it plays. It doesn't have any damage tech. It has weapons -2, shields -2, hull -25. So you can still flip it for damage dilemmas and knock their ship down. Doesn't hurt their range, doesn't kill anybody. So it's not completely useless, if you're going to take a shot at an opponent. But it's not optimized for that. It's really optimized for the deck that's going to go hunting monsters. So if it shows up in that deck, I would call this a success. If it shows up in no decks, I would call it a failure. So we'll have to see how that ends up. That is 63V. So that is the last card in the set. That means there's no Tribbles or Troubles. Sorry, folks. Alan wants to know, I've always wondered why 2E doesn't have a proper space line. Hey, Charlie, why doesn't 2E have a proper space line? Maggie says, because it's how real space travel happens. Yes, real space travel, warp drive. I don't know, I'm torn on the space line. I think if I was making a Trek game now, it wouldn't have a space line like 1E, but I might do more with how travel works. I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much. Maggie says, when will we get Shellyak back with a proper self icon? That's been talked about. Definitely on the table. Got the whole cage file sitting in front of me right here. I could show you the whole thing, but what fun would that be? So it's 5 till 7 my time. It's quiet in the house tonight because all the Lobens are at Liam's middle school band concert tonight. Liam is Chris and Andrea's eldest, plays baritone. As a former band kid, I wish I was there supporting him, but they didn't tell us about the concert until after I already scheduled this. So he had another concert last week, so I went to that one and stayed here for this one. So last call for questions. I'm going to do my best to answer all of them before I log off. What I'm looking forward to from you all is we're going to post the video and see if anybody watches it. How can I make this better? How can I make this more interactive? How can I make this more fun for future editions? Do you want me to do this on a different format? Should we do this on Twitch? Should we do this on Facebook Live? Tell me where the best way to do this is. Tell me what the best way to make myself available for you is. Tell me the best times to do this. This seemed like a fairly decent time for most of the U.S. Probably a little early for the people on the West Coast, but hopefully not too late for East Coasters or center of the country folks. I know it's not a good time for Europe or Australia. Suggest times for me. When's a good? I mean, I'm pretty reasonable, and most days I don't work a full day, so I can jump on in the middle of the day and do a stream. I kind of want to do this every 2 weeks. I think that's about a reasonable rate right now. So give me your feedback. Let me know what I can do to make this better or improve it, if I can make it better or improve it. So I'm going to do another cycle through all of the different places people are potentially posting. The forums are quiet. Discord is quiet. Look in the chat room. Corbett's gonna go kill a hobo. Charlie obliquely referenced 3. Is that a rule? If I mention 3, a hobo gets murdered? So the concert I went to last, I mentioned Liam was in band. Tonight is the middle school end of year concert. So and Liam's in the advanced middle school band. There's an advanced and then a beginner. And then they also have an advanced and a beginner jazz band at middle school, which is awesome. That's way more than we had. But tonight's all the middle school bands. The one last week was the 5th grade bands all together, the beginner and intermediate middle school bands from the 2 middle schools, and then the high school band for the high school that they all feed into. That was cool. That was neat to see the progression from like 5th grade band through middle school band to high school band. You know, you can see that like 8-year journey from hot cross buns to Indiana Jones. It was pretty neat. But I'm glad I went to that one and not the middle school band concert. And I texted my mom, like, I'm so sorry to made you go to all these middle school concerts. All right, checking YouTube. Any plans to support the large wheel-type spaceline or other multiplayer or expanded length rules? Sort of. I love the wheel when you're playing multiplayer. It's a lot of fun. Doesn't work well with quadrants, so you sort of have to figure that out. I don't know about officially supporting the wheel, but I will say one of the things I'm looking at is an expanded length format. Probably tied to casual play, but the idea being it would be sort of an untimed format where you just play till there's an end or you're both sick of it, and it gets reported in our system. I think James Heaney had a draft of something called exhibition format, so we'll be taking a look at that and seeing where we like it, where we don't like it, and what we can do about an untimed format in the future. Okay, folks, it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call it a day. Maggie wants to know what I played in band. I played trombone. That was my primary, although by the time I graduated, I had originally intended to go into a music major, to be music education. So by the time I graduated high school, I could competently play every instrument in the band except the flute. Never could get the flute. But on that note, I'm going to sign off here. Let me find Mr. Cogley once more, throw him up for you all to see while I'm saying my goodbyes. Figure out how to use this. If anybody's bored and is interested in being a producer for a show, please let me know. Samuel T. Cogley. From the Cage, coming out very soon. Check the website this Friday. So this has been my office hours. My name is Charlie Plain. Why did it stop sharing? Go back to sharing. Why are you not sharing? There it is. Okay. My name is Charlie Plane, Midnight Lich on the forums, cplane@gmail.com, email, the director of First Edition, trying to be here for you all to answer your questions and address your concerns. Yeah, you can find me on the Dojo's Discord channel. I'm on the website almost every day. I write a column every Wednesday, sort of looking at the history, the last week of 1E and looking ahead at the next week tournaments. So if you're looking for 1E content, let me know what I can do to make it better for you, to address your concerns and your questions. But this has been the inaugural 1E office hours. I will post my next time slot shortly. And thank you for joining me. Live long and prosper. This is Charlie signing off.